Welcome to Clotheslines and Headlines. Rossi, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just bouncing back from the live rendition of Blood and Guts last night when we were recording this. So,
yes, let's get into it right away. Saw you in person, first time in a long time yesterday. I don't know, a few months or whatever. What was the last time I went to wrestling? That's probably the last time I saw you in person.
Yeah, probably like October.
Yeah, whatever. So I trucked on over after Blood and Guts, watched Rampage with you a little bit. But overall, what did you think of the vibe of the TD Garden during Dynamite?
I thought the crowd was great. Definitely a different crowd than a WWE crowd. More male, we'll say, which I've kind of noticed from most AEW shows. Not as much of a female and child presence as WWE shows have.
Definitely not.
And definitely probably wasn't a show I would want to bring a kid to either. I mean, that's like young, Yeah. But overall, I mean, I thought Dynamite was an awesome show. I mean, it was 2 hours. They kept you hooked the entire time. Blood and Guts definitely wasn't like the greatest match of all time, right? But it's a match that you like to see, and I really thought it was cool, having been in the building for War Games 2 in November, how we could then get this match in June. Or July, I should say, and kind of compare and contrast how WWE does one and AEW does one as well. And biggest difference there is just the production, right? Like you would never see WWE take 20 minutes to break down that cage like they did last night, right?
I'll get on that at the end. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the biggest takeaway. But I mean, overall, I thought it was cool how they had the heels come out of the crowd like they always do. And you had the babies get their big entrances. Kota Ibushi wasn't the Kota Ibushi I was probably expecting. I think he kind of phoned this one in a little bit. Him just being there was cool though. So
yeah, he felt like a star, but that kind of dissipated as he performed. But anyways, he's 40 years old. It's been a while. I get it. So interesting. Let's just talk about the structure of the match. I thought the brawling was great. Just like you said, I love the entrances. Felt like a real team locker room, coming out of the huddle environment. Just felt like a war. And man, they delivered. It was brutal. It was kick ass. It was hard hitting. It just got at the end, it just felt played out. If that was a 50-minute match, bell to bell, I believe, 35 minutes is that sweet spot. You have that structure of that early boom, heels, baby, that typical war game structure where you get the heat. Oh, then the baby face gets the shine. You get the heat, baby face gets the shine. That all worked. The brutality was good. It wasn't overdone. The glass wasn't overdone. The nail bed wasn't overdone. All that stuff wasn't like wonky. It was kind of perfect in that aspect. The top of the cage is kind of when they started to lose you a little bit. They go up there, they climb. They got to get up there somehow, right? And Mick Foley and Mankind, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, those guys set the bar high on that right away. You're never going to get what you got from that. Triple H at the Rumble, No Way Out, etc. You're not going to get that nowadays, nor should they really. But the callback to the Stadium Stampede with the suplexes, cute by half, wonky by the other half. But then they get down, so that kind of just kills that vibe. I like the thumbtacks, throwing the thumbtacks off. That was cool. But as soon as they hit that, the 4 suplexes and whatever they did in the middle of the ring, it just from there, it just felt like a structure in a performance. When they had the brawl feeling and the kick-ass feeling and the team aspect. I understand they had to tell the story at the end and get to the ROH main event with Pac and Cesaro or Claudio, whatever. So I understand they had to get places, but I just felt like they manufactured getting there instead of just really just vibing there. That's the kind of how I took away from the tail end of that match.
Yeah, I like Callis coming out and getting Takeshita out of there.
Yeah.
I thought that was
cool. I like
good.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't love the shaking hands after, which I know that was more for the live crowd, I think, than anything. I mean, these guys just killed each other and were trying to stab each other with fucking a board full of screwdrivers, and now they're just boys. I didn't like that, but it's also like maybe BCC kind of flips back baby and they kind of feud with Callis a little bit too, which can work because he walked out on them as well. The Pac Claudio stuff was cool. I mean, I was expecting somebody to maybe make. Yeah, I kind of was expecting maybe Coda to beat Claudio to set up a match for them on Friday, but Pac was obviously a cool idea too. And after seeing Coda, I think Pac will be the better match. But yeah, I mean, I think, live is so much different. Like,
Yeah.
When Yuta's on the top of the cage with Matt Jackson, you're watching that. You don't even know what's going on in the ring.
Yeah.
When obviously, if you're watching on TV, and I haven't watched it back yet, I might skim through it tonight. But there's just so many things going on, right, in a War Games match where I feel like WWE does a better job of making the focus on one thing, what's going on at all times, where AEW is like, you could watch like 5 little mini matches going on at the same time, right? So that aspect was cool, that I think that you probably are going to get a better experience live than you ever would on TV. And I've talked to a couple of people that didn't go, that watched it on TV, and they're like, there's no way that this is as good at home as it was live, because you definitely miss a lot. And the finish, right? Like, I was there. I wasn't. You were saw where I was sitting.
TV finish, right? Yeah.
I wasn't close to the ring. I mean, I was pretty close to the ring, but I had no idea that finish happened as I'm watching the match, because you're watching Yuta get choked out. Moxley's tied, handcuffed to the ring ropes. I had no idea that he was the one that submitted. And then live, you're not hearing the announcers make that call after, but apparently that came off weird on TV too, because they didn't actually see it happen. So that's a big fuck up, because you can't have a finish, lead to confusion like that, right?
They were also hard pressed. They were like, Callis didn't grab Takeshita until 9:58.
Yeah.
So 90 seconds left to go. And then they still had other angles. It just felt rushed. And that should not be the case for a 50-minute match, bell to bell.
Yeah.
There's just too much shit to fit in there. So that's where it's kind of like, still they have to work out kinks for, that's kind of the vibe I get from AEW. Just too much, work out the kinks. But overall, the product as a whole is going up. Before we jump off this Blood and Guts match, I got one question for you. What's next for the Elite? Afterwards, Kenny says that I'm going with these guys, referring to the Bucks. They say Kota Ibushi will be back in some aspect to do something with Kenny in AEW. And then what's next? What do you think?
I mean, you got to think Takeshita and Omega is probably an all-in match.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then does Ospreay, do they have their trilogy match in the UK as well? Like, that's something to think about. But you've got all in and all out. Like, that probably.
Yeah, I figure all in Takeshita, the UK one.
UK, Ospreay. Yeah.
The other one, Takeshita.
Yeah, so maybe Ospreay wins because Takeshita screws Omega again, and that's how they get a quick match the next week. But that's the interesting thing about all of this. And Hangman and the Bucks are probably going to be pivoting back to Dark Order. I noticed that they were wearing the Dark Order colors yesterday, and then Evil Uno tweeted, like, you're wearing our colors now. So that's not done. I mean, the Dark Order beat him a couple weeks ago. So I think, yeah, they got to do something to shake that up. But I'd like to see the Bucks get back into the tag division. I feel like there's a lot of legs there with FTR. I mean, obviously that's got a lot of political to it too. But if these guys can't figure out how to get to that 6-man by the end of this year, then first of all, why even bother doing it at that point? Because Punk's just going to probably get hurt again. So they got to fucking put their eggs in a row and get that done at some point.
Yeah. All right. Contract wise, you see them re-signing by the end of the year?
I do, but I don't think it's going to be a long deal. I think they might do like another year or two and then see where they're at, because who knows? I mean, this Punk stuff is, I mean, it's not going anywhere. And Punk's clearly planted his flag on that Collision show.
Which I prefer.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that show's been awesome. And, you could tell that it's got him and FTR's fingerprints all over it. So keep doing that. I'm never going to complain about that show. But, the road's got to cross at some point. Like, you're going to not be able to keep these guys away from each other forever. I mean, you're going to have 2 pay-per-views that are going to have both of them on it in some huge capacity, one in Chicago. So they gotta figure out how to make this happen. And I ultimately still think that, that's probably where the roads meet here, and as if do the Bucks and Omega listen to WWE? Do they listen to them to just drive up what they get from Tony Khan? Does the Punk stuff just get so uncomfortable that they want to figure out, if they're going to ever go to WWE, it's probably going to be soon. I don't think these guys are going to be wrestling into their 50s, right? So
Kenny Omega pretty much said he's not.
Yeah, so I mean, there's legs there with the bloodline if they ever want to go there, right? It's a pretty ready-made match.
Sammy, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, there's so many different things they could do there, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun year when it comes to that stuff.
So it comes with the Punk thing at all. It comes down to creative and cash, right? So how much
so.
cash would it take to push them with that creative to sign a new deal to get that done? They have to get that done. It's the elephant in the room. It's kind of holding them back from a ceiling aspect. You know, they can put on these successful shows like Blood and Guts. They can have fantastic 5 fucking 6 stars, 8-star matches, like Bullet Club Gold and FTR. That was fantastic. Even though I really like the Punk match too with Ricky Starks. Collision
Me too.
Was great. But they can go on and do that. But again, it doesn't matter because there's this elephant in the room that is distracting, you know, and you can put up all these smoke screens and distractions and everything away from it to the core. That's what needs to be done if this company's going to grow and find a groove and get past this bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I just miss the Bucks as a tag team, right? Like they've been doing a lot of wonky shit for the last couple of years. I mean, FTR and them still has so many legs. I mean, what do they have? Like 2 or 3 matches, you know? And that entire tag division's kind of fallen by the wayside. Not, you know, one of the probably best tag matches ever was last week. So kind of sounds silly to say, but you've got a lethal lottery tournament that's obviously going to lead to some sort of a world title match. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I mean, they have so many good tag teams. They're not really using them right. So I'd like to see that division get a revival. But, you know, back to the Bucks and Omega, like if you're WWE and you're coming at them with a contract at the beginning of next year and you tell them, hey, Cody's going to win the title at Mania and we want you guys to help him win it. How do they that's something that I think resonates with them, right? So
like Roman's family screwed Cody last year, so Cody maybe brings in his family this year.
Yeah. So there's ways to do it that would obviously be electric, and you know, them showing up in Philly would be fucking crazy. So I think there's a lot of, you know, different roads they can go there, but you know, at the end of the day, as long as I just think this Punk stuff has got to happen. You know, it's either going to happen. It's either going to happen and they're going to all be one happy family in AEW again, or it's not going to happen and maybe the Bucks leave.
Just grow up and do it or get out. That's how I look at it. It's the elephant in the room. All right. So speaking of, buddy, are you ready to do a dance routine? A dance number? I wish I was keen enough and thought ahead of just to play it out of nowhere, just to pop you. But buddy, that was some sports entertainment. Let me tell you, it just tickled me right the way. Like I love all the wrestling. I love the bell and all that shit, but that stuff is what I kind of care most about. And they hit a home run. It was a very WWE-esque angle, whatever, even starting with the Calhoun. It's a WWE vibe. It's sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And I'm glad they're doing it. You know what I mean? It's good stuff, and it's not wonky. It's not bad. It's that this Cole and MJF stuff is great. And these are 2 guys that I probably cared most about. And Adam Cole was someone I was caring less and less and could give 2 fucks about anymore. You tell me that in 2008, 2009, no chance no how. That was my guy.
Yeah, and that first of all, the Kowloon segment was fucking amazing. Like, talk about, you know, tearing at the heartstrings of that crowd. It was so stupid, but it was so good. Like this entire thing has been, these backstage segments have been even better than the total in-ring stuff. And I mean, I'm completely bought into this story. They hit the double clothesline. The crowd went fucking ape shit.
Double clothesline. What are we doing?
It's the goofiest shit, but it just works. And I saw a thing on Twitter today that popped me because it was like, it was a clip of Cole dancing, and it was like, imagine if Vince did this, what people would have said. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just the way that they've gotten to this point, and you know, it has you super invested every week. Like, when's the turn going to happen? Like, it's obviously going to happen, but it shouldn't happen soon. These guys are so.
I don't want it to. I want to just fuck. Should they beat FTR Saturday? Like,
yeah. So then, like, you know, but obviously they've got like the all-in match. I hope that MJF stays baby. Like he's excelling in this.
Everyone wants it, yeah.
And I think the Cole Roderick Strong stuff's the elephant in the room there, and even Britt's kind of involved in it now too.
Where he's like, hey, I got these 4 girls, like let's just 2 of each.
Yeah. I think where they
true to his character, you know.
Where I wanted this story to go is when they did that Royal Rampage that, you know, they taped after that's aired Friday, I thought that it was for a world title shot because that's what it was last year. And then I'm like, Roger Strong's got to win this just to make this even more awkward on TV, right?
Yeah.
But then they went away from that and went with the TNT title shot it all out. But I'm very interested where it goes. Cole, the way that they teased it last night with Cole having the belt and MJF ripping it away from him, and then Cole looking at the crowd and doing the belt motion while MJF was staring at him in the corner. It's electric TV. It's like my favorite thing that AEW does by every week right now. It's like appointment television for me, and it's the goofiest shit, but it just works.
On the way home on my YouTube TV on my phone.
Yeah, these guys are just they're perfect with it. I mean, I had my phone out, marking out like a 15-year-old boy watching this shit. It was just so goofy, and it just works so well. Like they're coming out with the same music, like a mixed music, and the same jackets. I'm gonna be sad when they turn on each other because it's worked so well.
It's like kind of Sammy S vibe from the Bloodline last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
ground root stuff right there.
But it's Jimmy Jacobs through and through.
Yeah.
Like you, there's no mystery. Yeah, there's no mystery that Jimmy Jacobs when they did that bar segment and then they went and played video games. I'm like, this is like watching Jericho and KO all over again.
Yeah, I didn't connect those dots though right now. That's a great call, Mike. Well, how about Daniel Garcia with this whole thing starting? Like
he's electric too, man. He's a guy that when he was in the Indies, I say this to people all the time. I thought he never had an inkling of possibility of getting big because he had no personality. He proved me wrong, and that's again the goofiest thing. But he's a good goddamn wrestler too, so good for him. And him and Sammy is another one that'll probably turn at each other at some point too. You know,
Sammy stinks.
Yeah.
Newsflash. But yeah, Garcia and Yuta, our Beyond Boys, are shining. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they really are. And Yuta's awesome. I'm glad he got that big moment last night, even though it ended with him having a chain wrapped around his neck.
He got the pin at the Anarchy in the Arena, so he was.
Yeah, he's in such a good spot. I mean, that guy's electric.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's 17 minutes on AEW.
Jungle Boy.
Oh my God,
the presentation was good.
That was actually kind of my favorite match of the night. You know,
yeah,
the best match was the cage match. For if you're gonna put everything and do in like a star rating, probably 3.75 to 4 on that Blood and Guts. But I go easy 3.5 on that opener, man. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a great brawl. Jungle Boy's finding a little groove here, a little too long getting into it with the whole thing, and maybe still lacks a little bit charisma and presence, but he's still young. He'll get seasoned. He's much more of an upside here as a heel. That babyface role is going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him as a babyface when he was with the dinosaur, but that on his own, he died a slow, painful death. And this heel stuff works. I mean, he's carrying himself like a natural dickhead. Crowd hated him. Everybody loves Hook. That was really Hook's first long match too, and he did well. What's cool is we got to see him win that title in Worcester last year, and then he lost it in Boston. So it's kind of cool, kind of some continuity there. And most people that lose that title, you'd be like, oh, they don't care about it. Like Ricky Starks never cared about it again, but it's his dad's title, so that's going to keep going, and they're going to probably have some huge blow-off match at the pay-per-view. So I like where that's going. I think that's another thing. Their backstage segments have been good, and to your point, I never expected Jungle Boy to be as gripping as he has been as a heel, but he's been pretty good.
He's been fine. He's getting there.
Yeah.
But So I'm like 19 minutes on AEW. That's something that it's good stuff. So let's pivot over here to WWE. We're in the midst of probably the midpoint of SummerSlam and Money in the Bank, maybe a little bit towards the latter end here. We're shaping up to have about 10 matches, I would assume, which makes my previews a little hard pressed. So check those out soon as we come. But Mike, in a vacuum, which match are you most anticipating here as it shapes out for SummerSlam?
I mean, Cody Brock. I'm interested in what type of match it becomes.
That's a really good build. I think that's real quick on that. I think when those puzzle pieces are done, I think we're going to have to look back and be like, wow, that was a really good feud, even though we still don't know why it went on. But
and that's okay. Like Brock doesn't need to explain things. Like he's just fucking Brock.
It's going to be good for Cody too.
Yeah. I'm very into the Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte stuff. I think that's been good. I don't love the Shayna stuff, but they kind of can't decide if Ronda's going to be a heel or a face week by week. But I think the match will be good. I mean, I know these girls probably have something planned for that match that they've been thinking about for a while. Whatever they do with this Rhea, Raquel, Liv triangle, whether that's another trios or three-way or not.
Yeah, let's hit these women real quick as you think. The SmackDown three-way, I think that's really good, strong to establish their characters and it's a good start to get their characters kind of grounded. What's Bianca like on the chase? She hasn't been on the chase forever. She's pretty much been the champion forever. What is she here as a revengeful chase? Does she lean heel and start to become a heel? Or does she kind of stay in the babyface role but evolve more as a babyface? Because she got stale, let's be real.
Yeah, she did.
Asuka's kind of transitional, but she's still strong. You know, I dig the new heel character. I think she's doing well. But what is Charlotte? Charlotte is presented as a star. She doesn't really have much of a character. She's never really had much character. She's Charlotte Flair. She's Ric Flair's daughter. She's the best in the company from a women's wrestling standpoint. So what is she? So I'm curious how the dynamic works out with her being present. Like, what's her Triple H vision as Charlotte too? Also, because when she returned under the Triple H umbrella, she won the championship right away, and of course, was happenstance just to get it off China, get it off Ronda to move things to move things around. So I get it. So I want to see Triple H vision for these three women. Obviously, we see his vision for Asuka. She's a little long in the tooth. She's 42 years old, but there's equity and there's meat there. So let's kind of put her in this new heel character and get the ball rolling that way. How does that work for Bianca, and what does that mean for Charlotte here? So I'm curious. That's what I'm curious of. I'm curious of the character development coming out of here, because I think the ultimate goal is Charlotte versus Bianca in a singles match on the biggest stage when, I don't know where, maybe WrestleMania. But
and you got Io lurking too, who everybody wants to win the title. So that'll be interesting where they go with that, if they just keep extending that out, or if she gets the big SummerSlam moment and walks out with the title. SummerSlam, just based on it being soon after Money in the Bank, has always been a big-time Money in the Bank cash-in show. So we'll see where they go with that. I mean, a triple threat's the perfect time for her to sneak in and steal it. So that's the X factor of this feud that people are going to be looking at with eyes in the back of their head.
Yep. And then Ronda Shayna, I think it's clunky. I think it's weird, but I think it's good. Like, I understand what you said. It's not clicking, but I think it's good. It's just, I don't know if Shayna Baszler is that baby face to invest in, but I understand wanting to do this. And it's probably the best and most invested I've been in Ronda since really her return in 2022.
Yeah, you could tell that they're into it and it's what they want to do, right? The brawl was good. Week 2 of it, that was really good.
And this is going to be really good.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the match is going to be good. And what I really like about it is we all know Ronda's on the way out, right? But we don't know if it's here. Yeah. So do they? And they got another pay-per-view like 4 weeks after. So you could very easily have Ronda win this one and give the win back and then be done. So I like that, because I don't think we're going to be sitting down to watch this match knowing that it's Ronda's last match, even if it is, you know.
How about the fight pit? These two.
That's what I'm thinking but that probably won't be the first one. Like, that would be something.
Oh, you think that's first?
No, I would do a regular match first and then maybe have Shayna win the fight pit, and that sends Ronda on her way.
Because SummerSlam is kind of going to be a weird structured show where we mentioned we have 10 possible matches. I think if we went old school, a little Lion's Den in the corner with Owen Hart and Blackman, like, do your little thing there, have a 4 or 5 minute MMA just shoot fight in a Lion's Den, I think that would work. But call it the fight pit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you could maybe set that up at a different part of the arena just so you flow better. Yeah, because 10 matches, I mean, they're going to want this thing out by midnight. They're going to have some
blow off. If this ain't the blow off, just go in there, go do that for 10 minutes with entrances, and then blow it off at Payback.
Some shit's going to be short, you know. Yeah. This first one could be short and then go with the longer one. And they'll be better if it's short. And then that's the other thing too, is, you know, I say 12, Logan Paul's fighting Nate Diaz the same night. So
Landon,
or Nate, I'm sorry, not Logan Paul, but Jake Paul, yeah.
Landon tells me, breaking news to me, he goes, Dad, on the Logan Paul's podcast, he said that he's going to be first on SummerSlam, or he asked to be first on SummerSlam because he wants to go see his brother fight in Vegas. I was like, all right, that makes sense. So
I think it's in Dallas.
Is it Dallas? Oh. Well, I'm also getting my information from a 16-year-old boy. However, I think that Dallas, Detroit, Vegas, Detroit, probably the same distance of a flight, and it's probably a private jet. And whatever.
I looked it up. 2 hours and 45 minutes on a private jet. So I'm assuming they'll wait until SummerSlam's off the air before they go in the ring with that. So I think he'll be able to do it.
Yeah, so he's open. That's cool.
If there's any sort of delay, though, probably not. But I think ultimately it's at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, so it's not at like the stadium.
Oh, where the Mavericks play?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately
NXT and Raw. It was
yeah, it was nice. I think ultimately he can pull it off. Be funny if he's showing up and walking Jake to the ring in his ring gear, though.
Maybe he takes that zip line.
Yeah.
But real quick on that, let's just hit that while we're here. I really dug Ricochet. He's felt comfortable on the mic. He did the old Velveteen Dream spot. You know, who sees that remembers that, whatever. But I thought that was cool. They had the spot at the Rumble. They had the spot at Money in the Bank. If they did that Spanish Fly off the springboard, that would have just been super viral. So I think that they're going to open SummerSlam. I think they're set up to have success there. I think that at the end of the day, that's probably going to be one of my top 5 matches of the weekend when I hit the on that.
And it's a match that they could probably work 10 minutes and get all the spots in you want.
It's gonna be a spot fest, but I think it's going to be an electric one.
And it's going to be Ricochet. Obviously, I expect to lose this match, but he's going to be the biggest babyface in the building, so he's going to still work, and it's going to work to his benefit. Yeah, and it's going to send him off to be in a much better spot coming out of this.
Yeah, and low key, honestly, Logan kind of needs a win.
He does. It's a perfect fit.
It's weird to say that, but he needs a win, and Ricochet wins by being on the SummerSlam card in a high-profile event, and just water raises the tide there with him. All right, and then real quick, as we get out of here, quick thoughts. Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, where are you at on this?
Oh, man, I mean, how good was that MSG segment, right? No, half of the show, whatever it was.
Minutes.
I'm very interested to see what they do on Friday. It's cool that it's an FS1 show, but they're booking it like it's a regular Fox show, and they're not just giving up on the week. Whether that has anything to do with the fact that there's an ROH pay-per-view or not, I don't know. But it's an interesting Friday, because you've got one of the bigger rampages of the year opposite an ROH pay-per-view that really has had no hype and no build. They're piecing the card together today, the day before the show. And then you've got FS1. You've got an FS1 SmackDown, which I think they hit like 950K or something when it happened last year. And then the elephant in the room there is you got a U.S. women's soccer game on Real Fox that's probably going to do a monster rating. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of momentum WWE carries over rating and viewership. Yeah, though they should. The Roman segment will definitely do very well. Interesting where they position it. Do they put it on late to try to get people sticking around? Or they put it on early so it's not opposite? Because the soccer match is at 9 Eastern. So are they going to want to put all the eyes as they can on it before the women's soccer game starts? That'll be interesting. U.S. women, I don't know, but they always do well. The U.S. women.
If it was Italy, Steve Bennett would be watching it. Just so you know.
Italy just lost to
I
somebody.
Give a fuck or no.
But no, it's not. It's not Italy.
All right. But anyways, I'm giving you a pie of 100%. How much percent chance does Jey Uso have to win at SummerSlam?
0.
Come on, you got to give me at least a sliver.
No, I would honestly say probably like 10%. Not a lot. Again, he's going to be elevated, and he's going to be elevated being in the match too.
Yeah. So,
does Jimmy come back and turn on him?
I don't know if I like that.
I don't either. But does it have what happens to
Solo? Double agent bloodline thing?
Yeah, and here's the other thing: does Heyman ever bring somebody into this group that's not a member of the family? Austin Theory.
Madcap Moss?
He helps Roman, and then he eventually, whenever Roman loses that title next year, then, he goes with Heyman, and Heyman fucks off Roman. Roman's going to be a babyface not long after he wins that title. We talked about the
Dangerous Alliance. That's always been my pitch. Heyman's next move is the Dangerous Alliance. If it's led by Austin Theory, who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I think that Could be interesting. I know we bring up The Rock all the time, but with this writer's strike and you got your boy Grayson Waller lurking around, and The Rock isn't gonna go on YouTube, or I mean not YouTube, on Twitter and fuck around. You know, obviously it's calculated for what? Who knows? What if they have a Grayson Waller effect with The Rock on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
On
like Rumble or
SummerSlam.
something.
Or somewhere, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because Waller even said, your family's falling apart and you're fucking around with me. You try to get the Grayson Waller effect rub, which is a great line.
Yeah,
So,
he's been fucking great too. I want to give him some shouts. He's been a more charismatic Theory pretty quickly, I think.
yeah, he's kind of LA Knight and him have kind of put a little dent in Theory's shine. You know what I mean? Put a little
Speaking of LA Knight, I know there's some viral videos today. Leaving the show in AEW show in Boston, you would have thought we just left the WWE show that LA Knight won the main event of. It was fucking everybody was saying, yeah, that guy's super over. He's got to beat Theory at SummerSlam, I think.
That's good. That'd be a great moment. That would be that the place would go. It's deserved. He needs to. And I don't necessarily think it hurts Theory. And he can pivot to something else off of that because he's not really going anywhere with his US title. It's a nice when it's not on Raw, when this title's not on Raw, getting defended every other week against Bobby Lashley and Seth Rollins and whoever, then Theory isn't really positioned to look like it is. He's just kind of swimming upstream now. You know what I mean? It's like they were making him look good. They were making him look like a star. Now he's kind of just swimming upstream with it. But all right, Mike, as we head out of here, what other match are you anticipating for SummerSlam to hit on right now?
I mean, Cody Brock, we didn't really talk a lot about, but I mean, what matches is going to be?
That documentary is coming out the weekend of this SummerSlam, or the weekend before
Monday before, which they got clips from BTE of.
I meant to bring that up too earlier when you were talking about that.
There's a lot going on in my head. Not even about this show, but coming out of
Finn versus Rollins.
Do we get the Demon? Do we have because the Demon's been a jobber. He's
the only one without gold.
So let me give you a piece of the pie back. What's the percentage Finn wins?
30.
I think it's
I think he was like 10 at Money in the Bank. Rollins has had a defense. He's had 2 defenses. There's obvious reason why that briefcase went on Damian Priest. You know what I mean? There's an obvious reason there. He could have easily went on LA Knight, and they could have cashed in for the US here, and you could have had, a double moment with LA Knight. But then they put this weird SmackDown 4-pack and whatever to fill in time to make LA Knight the number 1 contender. So there's clearly a reason why that briefcase is on Damian Priest. So who knows about that? And then, I don't know, Rollins' back is reportedly hurt. So who knows what that means? So I don't know. I would say 30. If you want to go 33, all right, whatever. But I still think Rollins is the favorite because it's a lot to happen, and it's still pretty early in his run. So I don't know.
They top-loaded the run though with a lot of defenses, which I think made me think it wasn't going to be that long of a run. And I still have been saying it. What if we get even before Money in the Bank even happened? I remember saying to you, do we have a lane when Finn wins the title and Priest cashes in on him? And I didn't even think Priest was going to win the fucking thing. It was just kind of like a pipe dream booking. But, when Dom won the North American title, which I also want to give props to because that was fucking the internet melted down. Do we put the title on Finn just so they all have something for a little bit? Will Dom even still have the title by then? When's that pay-per-view? Isn't that?
It's the 30th. So it's the Sunday before SummerSlam.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't think that he's going to still carry it past that, but who knows? Maybe he will. Ratings were good. So that's all that WWE really cares about. If NXT is successful,
negotiate 4 new contracts, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely an elephant in the room too. Is what happens with Finn in the briefcase. I mean, Judgment Day is hotter than hell. They've been really consistent on Raw, and NXT even the last couple of weeks. And then so another thing to think about is what comes of this maybe newborn Bobby Lashley Street Profits alliance.
Yes. What's up with that? That's cool.
Are they going to be heels? Where do they fit in as heels on a show dominated by a heel Roman? Does Bianca end up jumping in with them too?
Yeah.
There's a couple. I mean, that was a 2-minute segment on
M-
SmackDown that was so
MVP,
interesting.
MVP and Almost are free agents.
Yep.
Shelton, who knows? Like, whatever.
Is
But
MVP even still with the company?
yeah,
Where the hell have they been?
they're free agents. They haven't popped up anywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's interesting. Another thing that just kind of random shots, like I think what they're doing with Shinsuke is good. He's starting to go crazy.
Yeah, I'm interested. He needs something. You want
He
to talk about
does. He
someone that
does.
needs something? He needs something.
Where the hell's Gargano?
He's hurt. You gotta think he's
Is
hurt.
he still?
Or
Yeah.
when he's ready, he'll come back and it'll be him and Ciampa versus the Miz.
Do we have a way to get to the Street Profits and KO and Sammy at SummerSlam? Too quick. I feel like KO and Sammy have to have a match on the show.
They have to because they didn't at Money in the Bank. They had the pay-per-view where they had the main event.
It's SummerSlam, right?
It's SummerSlam.
They got to be on the show.
They got it. They can't have a SmackDown match against the Brutes or whoever. You know, they got to be on this card.
Yeah, and Pretty Deadly's hurt now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else you can give a rub to. Street Profits make the most sense.
Maybe
sneaky though. Maybe the Viking Raiders.
Yeah, that ain't bad. That match was really good, by the way.
It was.
That was fun. But all right, Mike, we're getting pushed to the clock here. It was good to check in, pal, with our in between. That's kind of seems to be our cadence now to check in between pay-per-views. And we'll see you next week on the preview. But thanks, buddy. We'll catch you soon.
All right, later, bud.